it's the last time for people to get in there reports about how bad Trey's going to be. I mean, that's coming in heavy right now. And the latest one is the arm fatigue. His arm gets tired. Apparently, he needs time off. His arm gets hurt, elbow, who knows? So he's working out with Brian and Ayuk right now. Yesterday they put out some clips of Lance throwing, and Ayuk had a little caption saying those 3 passes were the only passes of the day. After that, his arm got fatigued. Hilarious. What's your takeaway from this whole arm fatigue gate thing?
I love the clapback. I love the clapback by Ayuk. That was so clever. I was like, I like the pettiness. Well deserved. Well played. Come on, man. Come on. This is what makes me start to hate the offseason when it's talking about arm fatigue. I mean, has anyone ever heard of a quarterback in the professional football league ever hear about arm fatigue? I mean, maybe I'm wondering if Silver didn't hear like maybe inside like, oh yeah, his arm was sore after like maybe 1 or 2 practices, because they have to ramp up his arm, like more of his workload now that he is the starter. But if it's not going to be affecting him when it comes to like the season or training camp, if he actually is going to miss some practices, but especially the season where it's affecting him, then who cares? What does it matter then, right? Because if that's a point where if we see what we learn, we treat this by action. So if his action is not living up to what it is saying, then okay, now we're going to be a little bit of a question mark, a little bit of an eyebrow raiser there. But I kind of a little bit am like I'm the one that's more fatigued than his arm about all this criticism, to be honest.
The way that Colin Cowherd and Mike Silver relayed this information, they made it seem like this is the 49ers' dirty little secret and that everyone on the team knows it and they're all really concerned, but they can't say it. And that's kind of how Ryan Harris made it sound before OTAs. But the way like Trey Lance and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle responded to that post as well, the way like all the big leaders in the team are reacting to this news, they're all kind of scoffing at it, which to me makes me feel like the locker room's like, where is this coming from? Because I'm like, where is this coming from? I'm not there at, every single practice. They shut down the practices after a certain point. But I see everything I can, and I've never seen Trey Lance come out and not throw a single pass in a day while everyone else practices. So I'm wondering, where is this coming from? The players are wondering, where is this coming from? So to me, this is just one member, maybe more than one, but probably one member of the front office who is looking for an excuse to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the way I interpret this. I mean, I'm sure the Niners would love to trade him for a second-round pick, but that's not going to happen. So now I think someone wants an excuse to keep him, and this could be qualified as an excuse to keep him.
Yeah, plus then you have like Ten Witten, who said from the Athletics texting a coach off the record saying like, I don't even know where the hell that came from. You got other people like, it's like, okay, now it's like, what? Why now? Like, what's the guy? Why everyone's taking like the whole baseball bat and just wants to keep bashing someone with that? It's like the whole thing about the unknown. And I think that's where I think it can come from maybe a coach, because, coaches, win now. Can we do this? Can we use this player now? Do we have to? We don't want to wait. Even some players don't like that. That's why you even had like Robert Turbin, who on NFL Network said like, oh, I used to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, it's this thing with the unknown with a lot of NFL coaches. It's why they didn't want to run with Trey Lance in the first place. It's they just knew what they know. And it's like the variable, the thing that's not a constant freaks them out.
Doesn't it seem like every time the 49ers try to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and fail, the way they try to create some momentum for him is, I can't prove it, but off the record, sort of talking down about Trey. It's almost like they're trying to build up Jimmy at Trey's expense, and they don't understand that you're really just tearing down both of your quarterbacks. You're not really building up either one. And now, again, maybe they're not talking off the record, but it seems like they freaking are.
Yeah, but then it's also going to be like the split of wondering, like, okay, how much of that came from Scangarella? People were reporting about.
I have no idea where it's coming from. It could be coming from
that thing was all messed. That's really where that's really where the whole domino effect came from. And that guy was responsible for not for the first domino or second or third. He was responsible for like the whole first like half, if not more. So that thing was like completely out of pocket that occurred. But with Lance, it's just nothing. At least he's not getting bought. At least your teammates are getting back up to you. So that's a great thing to see. They're all just laughing. I'm like, this guy looks fine to me. I mean, if anything, Lance should treat this as an opportunity. He should go talk to his agent, call Gatorade, Powerade, say, hey, look, we get a little fatigued.
Yeah.
We are thirsty. Sometimes we want electrolytes to refresh us, revitalize us, recharge us.
Yeah.
And
I
with
like
your
that.
guys' name and likeness with Trey Lance here, with you, Gatorade, we can build a partnership and quell those rumors. So
Yeah.
for me, Trey Lance needs to capitalize on his little slander here. So he's pretty much got to thank a little bit of Mike Silver for that.
Look, I'm not saying this whole arm fatigue thing is coming directly from John Lynch. I don't know. But I do know that John Lynch traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. And for a long
Yep.
time, John Lynch felt he won that trade. And there aren't a lot of big time trades that John Lynch has definitely won. He's lost some. And for him to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a 6th-round pick or to cut him, in his eyes and in the eyes of a lot of people, would be now admitting defeat on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade too, which is probably his biggest win. So I think from his perspective, and I don't know what he's saying or how he feels, but I think from his perspective, it's more appealing to just hold on to Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't let him go. Let him go as a free agent, because then you never really know what he was worth. You never really took that L. It's just that Trey Lance was even better and took his place, but Jimmy was still good, and Jimmy was there and available to be a backup if Trey Lance's arm got tired. I just feel like that, again, if the Bucks call up or the Browns, they're like, we're desperate, we'll give you a 2nd-round pick for Jimmy. I think everyone in the Niners would be great with that. Short of that, if Cleveland says we're desperate, we'll give you a 4th. I don't know if the Niners will do it, and I think it's because of this.
Yeah, they better do it, because this thing is like getting completely out of hand and starting to like just like I said, fatigue me out. Like these guys are just setting up their own guy for just complete question marks. Like they thought last year was annoying with like people like you and other people in the media like asking about quarterback questions. Like the longer you keep Garoppolo on your roster, whether he shows up or not, especially if he shows up, by God, that's going to be extremely weird. Then you're just pretty much creating all this drama for no reason, all this like unnecessary questions that are going to piss you off. And then you're going to get pissed off at the media for asking the questions that they should be asking. And then it's just out of hand.
It's one thing to keep Trey Lance, to have both guys on the team, but to have the 21-year-old rookie be the backup. I mean, he's not going to make waves on the team. He's just trying to fit in. He's the youngest player in the league. I mean, that sort of feels natural. But the next year to flip it and have the 22-year-old be the starter and the 30-year-old who's had success on this team all of a sudden be the backup when he's healthy, I just don't think I don't think they can pull off that. I think the other one was doable. This is not. And I think what the Niners would do is just say, he's still coming back. He's not ready to play. He's still throwing. And sort of keep him inactive for a team that might want to trade for him. And then if Trey Lance's arm ever got fatigued, they can be like, oh, Jimmy's good. Jimmy's ready to play. I just don't think he'll be around the team very much unless something happens to Trey. Or, that's the way I look at it.
They're going to send him on holiday, give him an excuse, just like they did. Yes. That's what's ended up going to happen. That's the only way.
I think so. I mean, he hasn't talked to any of his.
Like a snap there. That's just.
He hasn't even talked to Brian Greasy yet this year. So I can't see him actually being on the team unless Trey gets hurt and Jimmy doesn't get traded.